Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be playing Civilization 7, and we are going to play more Carthage, because I still see some people in the community who don't rate Carthage as, like, S+++ tier above every other civilization. So we're gonna do another game with Carthage to showcase again just how dominant the playstyle can be. And this time we're gonna go ahead and use the Ibn Battuta leader, and we're going to take advantage of his ability to get 2 diplomatic points really early and kind of snowball your way through city-states. So normally if you're going to do the city-state strategy, you want to use Wampum Belt, and you want to use Shisa Necklace. The +1 production per age in settlements is excellent as a scaling production bonus, and the Shisa Necklace giving you influence every time you complete a suzerainship is a way to snowball the suzerains that really works well with Ibn Battuta's diplomatic path. But we're Carthage, so +1 production per settlement actually means +1 production in Carthage and +1 gold in the other settlements. So that kind of makes it a lot worse, and I'm addicted to Merchant's Saddle. So I do think Merchant's Saddle is... I think people sleep on this memento a lot, but I think Merchant's Saddle is insane. It, let's read it as increases the movement speed of your scouts by 50%. Increases the movement speed of your settlers by 50%. It's just so nutty. And because we're building extra merchants and settlers, and we need the map scouted earlier to support our faster settlers that we're going to be pumping out, I think Merchant Saddle is so important that we're actually going to skip Wampum Belt, which is probably controversial. I know production is king, but I just don't think it's as important as Carthage. So that's how we're choosing that, and then we're going to go ahead and pick the best civilization. We're going to go for Deity. We're gonna go ahead and play it on Epic. I prefer Epic. Actually, you know what? We're not going to play it on Epic, because Carthage is even better than normal on Epic because the military units are so good, and increasing your game speed is just a buff to units. So it's probably a little bit unfair to to say Carthage is S+++. Anyway, check out this mode where military units matter more. I think it's still true on the standard game speed. So let's go ahead and set the map size to standard. We'll still play Continents Plus, and all of the rest of this looks good. Here I'm actually showing off the seed in the video. Look at that. So now we'll go ahead and launch, and we're still looking for a coastal settle here as Carthage, but as long as we can make a Punic port eventually, even as far out as the Third Ring, if we get a settle that allows us to build a Third Ring Punic port, we're going to go ahead and take. We mostly just care about the resource capacity and the trade route range, at least for the capital's Punic port. So that's the way we're going to look at that. And then compared to the Isabella playthrough that we did, our early game is going to be a little bit slower, but it's less slow than you would think because we are collecting a lot of goodie huts with our scouts. So this is looking like a pretty good settle. We've got a goodie hut right there, which is cool. I see some coastal reef, and I think that means this is ocean in some capacity. So we could settle over here in this forest, which would be close to the dates. We kind of don't want to move away from these sheep, though. Sheep are a great resource to pick up early. We could also settle this bluff, which could be an interesting settle. It makes it surprisingly hard to get to our Khotan spot. We need to build something here and something here, which I guess it's not really that hard to do. So I'm pretty interested in this bluff spot. Plus it's a little bit easier to defend since it can only be attacked from 2 river tiles and a rough tile. So it's just in fairly defensive terrain. Though I guess this rough tile and the river tiles are all going to become urban districts, so that's eventually going to go away. But we could also settle in place. That I think that makes it really hard to reach this coastal tile. I think we're gonna go for the bluff settle here. We like the bluff settle. So same as with Isabella, especially since we put extra emphasis on our scouts with the Merchant Saddle part. We're just gonna go ahead and immediately queue up 3, and we're going to start exploring. And from here, The strategy is basically the same as the Isabella strategy, i.e., we're going to put a really early emphasis on making galleys and settlers and settling along the coastline. Our galleys are going to be a little bit slower than Isabella's galleys. So with Isabella, our first set of settlers, we were really egregiously forward settling because we had galleys in place to like defend them from, other AI players or city states. And with Ibn Battuta, we're going to be somewhat slower on getting our galleys out just because it's going to take us longer to, we don't have as much gold to rush production early game, and we're also pretty far, unless we might put a fishing key in this navigable river tile, but we're kind of far from being able to reach the ocean and pump out galleys. So our first two settlements are probably going to be closer to our starting borders and a little bit more defensive in that case, but once our economy starts rolling, we're gonna go right back to massively forward settling. We're also, with our scouts, we're looking to find as many city-states as possible. Ideally, we want to find a culture and a science city-state first, because they both have an option that gives you either a free technology or a free civic every time you suzerain a city-state. And that's how we're getting around the lack of early game culture problem that Carthage has, is with the city-state thing. So we're really interested. But we, like all city-states, we are going to be suzeraining them as many of them as possible. So we kind of want to give preference to city-states that are closer to other AI players that might want to take them out or suzerain themselves. But it's going to depend a lot on how the map spawns and how we find them. So we're not going to tie yourself to any specific strategy right this moment. As far as the early game tech and civics go, with Isabella, because we had the natural wonder, we had this really nice ability to just go sailing first and not think about anything else. Because we, we're building natural wonder tiles, we didn't need modifiers that boosted our rough tiles or our woodcutters or whatever the case. It's a little bit different with Ibn Battuta. We've got what looks like a fairly decent rough start here. We've got here, let me turn on yield so I can actually see what I'm looking at a little bit better. Of course, I don't have a brickyard, so they don't have production on them yet. Whatever. This is still 4 mines right here. Plus, I want to move in that direction anyway to get the sheep. So we're probably going to go with pottery first. There is still an argument, I think, to go sailing first, just for so sailing you can look at as a huge buff to scouts and to settlers, because you can get really far along the coastline pretty much for free, because it's pretty rare that it's pretty rare that the AI spend any time making galleys, so the seas are pretty clear. And occasionally you'll get spawns with a lot of hostile coastal enemy city-states, and that can be troublesome. But we can always build a fishing key right here in the navigable river, which will allow us to start building galleys, not as early as Isabella can, but we can still get galleys out at a point they're going to be relevant. So we're probably, we're kind of choosing between sailing and pottery here, and I think I've talked myself into sailing. I'm not sure if that's because sailing is better, or if I just really like building boats and I want to do that, but as mentioned, I really like building boats, and I want to do that, so we're going to go for sailing. I think they're probably close enough that that's a reasonable choice, and even if it's not necessarily, it's certainly one I want to make. So we're just going to start moving towards the sheep, and we're reasonably happy with a desert farm here. We will probably overbuild it eventually, but I don't know, one food, one production isn't the worst tile ever for our first tile. So it looks like we might be on like the top right of the map based on the fact that we've got tundra here, the ice walls here, and this is the way our coastline looks. So we're pretty able to use that. I don't know if Carthage has. I believe my understanding is that they don't actually have any spawn bios, but I seem to spawn in the tundra quite a lot as Carthage. It's a hostile military city-state. That's unfortunate. Luckily, we get enough narrative events that offer us warriors most of the time. So maybe we can meet Rome, which gives us a narrative event that offers a warrior that we can at least defend ourselves from Shangle without spending gold or production. But again, that's so this is one thing that's real nice about Ibn Battuta, because we have +1 vision. That means that our search is also doubled, so we know where goody huts are so far away because of that one search. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles we got this this cairn revealed from an explorer on this scout, so we are really, really able to snag goody huts that that the AI would get in most games. And we did an extra explorer there, not because we needed to see, but just because we're going to stop on this tile next turn anyway, so there's no reason to move up to the gold. We're not actually saving any movement over 2 turns. And there we go. So I think we're going to cut for now until we start doing something different. For now, we're just kind of... we're trying to scout across the map as widely as possible, and we're really focusing on the goody huts, which we're probably taking influence as top priority from, and then... depending on the event, we care a lot about culture, we care about food until 5 population, so on and so forth. So we're trying to get out our scouts, we're trying to get out our settlers, and we're probably going to try to build a fishing quay and start our galley production. And yeah, I'll try to start recording again, I don't know, maybe around like turn 15, turn 20. Turn 15 is probably too soon, it'll probably be like turn 20 or something. Anyway, see you guys soon. Hey everybody, we're back here at the top of turn 16. And we are returning to recording this turn because we have our first important decision to make. So the first important decision we have is that we have 170 influence, and we need to choose... Oh, we could have done this much earlier. Huh. Oh well, so this should have been me checking in on like turn 13 or something, but I played somewhat suboptimally. Whatever, we'll still be able to snowball the influence quite a bit. So we're picking our first city-state to start suzeraning. So I mentioned that we're using the science and culture city-state bonuses that give you a free technology or civic per each city-state that you suzerain. So there would be a decision here if we had both a science and a culture city-state revealed, but so far we've only found a science city-state. We found a science city-state, an economic city-state, and a hostile military city-state, which we can probably leave for a really long time. We're probably going to suzerain them last. As far as leaders, we found Angry Ashoka, who is relatively close to us in inland. We found Patch Cutie, who also tends to be pretty angry. I don't know what it is about him, but he seems to always be at war with me. But we might actually be able to avoid that if we don't make a ton of mountain settles. So we'll see how it goes. That's going to be kind of hard because we really like mountain settles. So our goody huts haven't been stellar, just in the fact that we don't have enough gold to buy a settler right now. That would still cost... Oh, I gotta go to purchase. That's why. Still costs 200, and we only have 158, so we'll have enough by the time we get the food. But that's the other thing that's been weak about our goody huts, is that we haven't actually found any early food to propel us to 5 population. So we're a little bit late on our first settles, but it does mean that our fishing quay is going to be done in time, and we'll be able to immediately follow up with galleys, so we should be pretty strong. As far as settlement locations that we've found, this spot over here with 2 gypsum and camels and dyes is pretty excellent. If you're a fan of the One More Turn Discord, you'll know that camels and gypsum are considered to be some of the best resources. I disagree a little bit. I'd place camels in S tier, obviously. I super agree about that one. I wouldn't go as far as to put gypsum in S tier, but maybe that's just a Carthage thing. But dyes are excellent for our ability to solve happiness problems as we ignore the settlement cap. So this is a pretty good settle. In fact, it might even be worth stretching this settle a little bit to try to grab the pink. The word's right in front of me. Silk. That's what it is. So we might try to grab the silk as well. We're pretty happy with that settle. And then up here we have a couple of interesting settles. The Shangle's in a really good location. It's almost a shame we can't kill them, because we would love to settle where Shangle is to capture 2 jade and gold, which I think my opinion of Jade has been increasing over time, specifically on Carthage, just because of how much it meshes with the way Carthage plays. However, the other obviously very strong settle is to grab this cotton and this silver over here. We can fit the dyes into that settlement. And we also have a really, really long navigable river here, so a settle in this area will be virtually impossible to assault, especially because we started choosing... Oh, we haven't done it yet. We should make sure we don't forget to do that. we should have a friendly city-state here, so we should be able to settle wherever we want in this kind of cluster of resources. Yeah, we could technically even settle here for the 6 resource settle, capturing the marble and the kaolin, as well as all the good resources. This one would be kind of rough because we wouldn't have any resource adjacency, so we don't get the advantage of settling an extra population for free from the colonist unique ability. But this is still a pretty good settle, and so that's kind of where our head is. Our scouts are pretty far. We've already started getting extra influence because Angry Ashoka decided to give us a local festival. We like I think that's diplomatic leaders that do that for that reason. And then we've also met Frederick of Rome, which were man, as kind of an aside, Frederick is such an interesting historical figure. I have so much fun reading about this guy. But his playstyle just doesn't mesh with me, so I never want to select this leader in Civilization because I just don't like the way he plays. But he's such an interesting historical figure. It bums me out ever so slightly. But we're both happy and sad to meet him. We met him as Rome, so the fact that he's Rome meant we got a narrative event to get a free warrior. So we're pretty happy. That means that we can probably defend from Shangle without any problems now that we have this free warrior. He is relatively far away in that we haven't. I guess that's not him. This is Ashoka. So not quite sure where he is. But the Rome is often hostile, and Frederick is also often hostile. So I can't remember if this is Angry Frederick or if this is they're both Angry Frederick. Actually, I don't know why I'm asking. He might actually like us depending on how many galleys we decide to go with, but we still usually don't have nearly as many galleys as the AI does. They tend to build a lot. And yeah, that's about where we are. So we've got a kind of war heavy. We've got Angry Ashoka, we've got Patch Cutie, which, like I said, he always seems like he's angry. I don't know why. And then we've got Frederick, who, again, I think both of them tend to be angry, and he's also Rome. So I'm not sure exactly how the game uses the civilization matchup to affect the reputation you start with, but it would make sense if he went after me. Anyway, let's see So last time we went with God of the Sun, and that was pretty powerful. We got mysticism first because and we're not going to slot it immediately, but priesthood is more important to Ibn Battuta because he doesn't have as much early gold. So getting the getting the reliable +6 or +10 gold from priesthood is really important. And we were also hoping for City Patron Goddess, but as per usual, the AI got it first. So, oh darn. We are a little bit more strapped to the coast as Ibn Battuta, and we have a little bit less money. So we're a lot more interested in God of the Sea than we were before. And I think that's actually where we're going to go, just because we don't care as much about science or culture, because we're kind of we're getting an alternate form of science and culture by just getting free text and civics from city-states. So we're really going to try to push gold. And once we get to the point that we're building, our Punic ports in every settlement, we'll still be snowballed past it. But with Ibn Battuta, it's a little bit harder to reach the point of your economy snowballing. So we do want to try to push economy on him early. That's why we went mysticism. We're still going to go for Code of Laws as a merchant rush. I think that's especially important as Ibn Battuta, because again, getting the early merchants is really important. Plus, so we're really focusing influence right now because we're doing a city-state strategy. But once we have all the city-states, we're still going to have a huge surplus of influence, which a huge surplus of influence is a great thing to have if you build double traders and want to trade with everybody. Which again, we're incentivized to do because Carthage is really good at trading, and Ibn Battuta doesn't have extra gold in his kit, so we really care about gold. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to get a settler probably over here, and we're looking to get a settler over here, and suzerain all the city-states. So that's where we're at. Anyway, probably return again another 10 or 15 turns, whatever the case is. I will catch you guys next time. Alright, welcome back everybody. So we're at the top of turn 27 here, and we've got our first couple of decisions to start making. So this is a double camel settlement, which is pretty decent. We'll probably get I guess we can't actually get the dates. But this is also an impossibly defensive settlement, so this is basically a free town for us to grab if we want it, which, 2 sets of camels. We can probably pick up the pearls and the wine as well. That's, camels are excellent, obviously, and the other 2 resources are resources. So there is so this is a great tile for a lot of adjacencies. This is a great this city's got 2 great culture tiles. So this can actually be a pretty strong. It's not going to be the greatest town other than getting us the 2 camels, but this should be a really strong city in the next stage. So we're probably really interested in settling over here. We're still going to take this settle first. And we're gonna actually move on to this flat desert with the river tile, which is fresh water. We love it, and it's also immediately adjacent to this iron. So we're gonna get the growth bonus from the colonist, which also means we love it. And we've got hippos settled here as well. And we actually we spawned right next to the camels, but we're gonna go for the gypsum first, just because that's going to push out defenders faster and faster. We are a little bit. So it's not bad yet, but Angry Ashoka has denounced us, so we can reasonably conclude that he's looking to go to war with us at some point. What else do we got? Hopefully we can make friends and start trading with Patch Cutie before we take this settle in particular, because it has mountains and he doesn't like it when we do that. But otherwise our settlements are pretty flat, so we should be able to be friends with Patch Cutie and trade with him. Rome is still really far away. We've also we're probably going to end up losing this city-state because it is probably. You know what? Actually, we should pump some influence into it to hopefully prevent ourselves from losing it. Just because the AI usually take out the science city-states, or not the science, but the hostile city-states. Unfortunately, we still haven't found a culture city-state. So our science is doing excellent since we've found quite a few science city-states to suzerain, and the AI doesn't seem to be prioritizing suzeraining the city-states very hard. We've also got a couple of, this military one will probably survive for a decent while just because it's got a fairly defensive location, so we're pretty happy about that. Same thing here with Yalan, though Pechacuti has burning arrows, and I think the Mississippians on average, as the AI, do better at clearing out barbarian camps, or hostile independent civs because of it, so we'll see how that one goes. We've got our first 2 settlements in place, and we are still interested in pushing more settlers as early as possible, but as Ivan Batuta, we don't have quite the happiness buffer in Carthage, so we can still go 1 or 2 settlements over the limit, so we're still honestly probably going to buy settlers as soon as we get to 360 gold, so in a couple turns here, and we're probably going to settle at least one of them and go 1 over the settlement limit and put the second one in place, but we're still roughly looking to do the same thing as we did on Isabella, where we're making settlers, we're making galleys, and we're forward settling people. And that's about where we're at. We've got warriors that are spreading out to the various city centers. This one will probably defend with just galleys, but we're setting up defenses on our settles. And then our next set of settlers that we can actually cover with galleys are hopefully going to be really far forward. So we might actually clear out Yalan here. Even though they are a city-state, we really like settling here because it grabs us horses, which gives us the option to go for Mongolia. This tile the adjacencies on this tile are just amazing. So we would love to have, like a Punic port here, a fishing quay here, and something insane in Exploration Age here. So this is an excellent tile that we want in one of our cities. And then that also lets us capture sheep, which is pretty decent, and we might settle it in a way that we also get the gold here, but to do that we would have to settle this river, which would not allow us to grab the fish, which is still arguably a good thing, but we might skip on the gold, especially because that would require us to settle on mountains and possibly annoy Pechacuti, which we don't want to do. We want to trade with him. Plus, Pechacuti will probably settle this gold if we don't, so we can just get it by trading with him, which works pretty well most of the time. So as far as our technology goes, we are just because of the start we got, which I say we are doing a rough start. It's kind of funny. All of our rural population right now is on granary tiles. But we are going to eventually start moving over onto these mines, so we're still going to do our early technology as though we're, a rough build, since we're going to start overbuilding those farms pretty soon and start getting those mines pretty soon. So we're still interested in grabbing the mastery on masonry here, though there is a pretty good argument actually. And I think it's good enough that we're going to do it. We're going to go for pottery, because that means that the free tech that we get from suzeraning the city-states, from the science city-state bonus, is more likely to be one of these ones that cost more base science. So I think we actually get a lot more value if we always just research the lowest tier with our science that we're getting naturally, the drip of 14 science. So civics, how are we doing? So we just got discipline, which means we have a military commander. We could probably put priesthood in at this point. Actually, we've got it says +4 right now, but we're settling another civ or another town immediately. So I think it's worth it to pop out tool making and throw in priesthood here to get that extra 6 gold a turn, which is still 33% of our economy. So that's pretty significant to get priesthood in there. And we are going to. We're just going to continue on our way down to Code of Laws. There is a pretty good argument for going ship sheds here a little bit preemptively, because Khotan is both a so Khotan is an economic building, obviously. That's a way to snowball our economy a little bit by giving us a production building and a way to make gold. It's also very good for the capital. And it's also defensive in that it makes our naval units better, especially if we grab the mastery that gives them extra range. But we kind of just want to continue on to Code of Laws, especially because our early game strategy is kind of... We really want to be friendly with Pachacuti. So if we're able to send him a lot of traders and use a lot of influence sending improved trade relation actions to Pachacuti to keep him friendly, then all the better. That's what we want. So that's kind of what we're thinking with the Code of Laws. And even though that's 25 turns, that's going to hurt quite a bit. Hopefully we can, find a couple of more events. We're kind of... we've explored enough of the map at this point that we probably can't count on any more culture from Goody Huts, but it should still start ramping up as we get the city-states. Hopefully we can find a culture city-state. The other option we have is the in the diplomatic expansion here, we'll actually get a lot of base culture and science out of this thing, which we don't have access to yet, but we should have... I want to say that we have... Because of even Batuta, we get some option to get a diplomatic point or a wildcard point or something like that. So that's what we're looking for as a source of science and culture. Let's see. Well, we don't want to kill Shangle, but we are interested in leveling up our commander on Shangle's military. So we're gonna see if we can. So we're actually gonna cancel that action. We're gonna see if we can have a little battle with those warriors to try to get, look at all this cotton. God, I love these huge cotton settles. Probably can't go for this settle because it's really close to Angry Ashoka. There is a navigable river here, so we almost kind of hope he settles this so we can pillage him like crazy, but, I don't know, unlikely. We might be able to squeeze out a settle over here or something like that, we'll see. As is kind of... what I'm showing right now, but not really talking about, I guess. We're still scouting the map like crazy. We still want to see the whole thing, so we've prioritized keeping our scouts alive and keeping them moving across. And this is one of the great things about even Batuta. We're just so early in the game, we've uncovered so much of the map, and that's great for getting trading partners, it's great for getting goody huts, and it's great for mapping out good forward settles. So we got narrative choice there. Oh, and Nuridapura is getting close. That's 7 turns. What are we going to do here? So the monument is really good because it has influence on it. We like influence a lot. But influence is notably less good than more settlers, which we can buy with gold. So we're going to do that. And we only have 1 boat right now, so we're going to continue building a couple more boats. We don't feel safe with only 1 boat. I guess we need to move the boat. So we'll move it towards Hippo to start with. We'll probably send the first 2 boats as explorers in both directions, and then we'll build them a couple more defense boats. I guess we can only build those one at a time because the presence of 1 boat in the fishing quay prevents the other boat from being queued up. Kind of annoying, kind of a bad quality of life interaction. So we want to retreat this warrior, not because we're afraid of it dying, but just because we don't benefit from fighting with it if we're not in experience range of the commander. So we're just walking away. Let's see, we've got 2 expansions here, so we're really interested in immediately going inland so that we can grab this line of iron, silver, cotton is excellent. This also, we're slightly more interested than normal in building buildings in these 2 slots, just because this will, in the next stage, this will be an excellent, like, observatory spot. Ooh, and we stuffed a, we stuffed the settler from Pachacuti, too. Hopefully, oh, he's angry at us. That's not ideal. Oh, no. We don't want to go to war with Pachacuti. It's a good thing we're building galleys. We might have to, we might have to leave the galleys home for some early defense, or once these suzerain ships start rolling in, we might be able to do some diplomatic damage control with Pachacuti as we get a bunch more influence. So we will see how that goes, I guess. I think this scout's just gonna hang back and rest, because I believe Yalan has a galley. So I don't think there's any value in me exploring in that direction for now, since the galley will probably just kill my scout. So we'll wait until we have some naval power going that way. What? Who are you fighting there? Hopefully we're able to get Mesa Verde. They only have 2 turns to go, but I saw combat words appearing above their nameplate, so I'm a little bit worried about them. Oh, we're not able to block this Greek settle, which is slightly unfortunate, but it's likely that we're not settling this far forward anyway. This is a bit harder of a game, because we've got a bunch of inland warlike enemies against us. There is a lot of real estate over on this coastline, so we are almost definitely taking out Yalan. We're actually going to send the first galley. Unfortunate that I'm changing my mind and losing some distance on my galley by switching to the other direction, but it should work out. I think for that reason we're going to start sending this scout towards to explore this coast from this side. We're kind of delayed here because of the hostile city-state, but let's last for 15 turns. So we want to wait till our scout's a little bit closer, but we are interested in getting open borders with Frederick. We've got a slightly positive relationship with him, and we can actually make it a little bit better. So I think we're actually, we probably get through this territory in 15 turns. And at worst case, the agreement ends and it boots our scout out the other side, so hopefully we'll be able to either get past it fast enough or otherwise not have that be a problem. Go ahead and use the commander ability to make the warrior attack, because it'll just make his health last a little bit longer. And we basically want to... that wasn't great. We got an equal damage roll. We're probably going to retreat after this, just because we're not interested in killing these units, but by attacking them early, they're too weak to assault our city. And we're also getting experience on our Great General, which we're going to say we want to do the same thing as we said we wanted to do last time, where we... So do I want to grab a settlement here and really draw the ire of angry Ashoka? Or do I want to continue settling towards Yalan? I think we're going to continue settling towards Yalan. We're a little bit less worried about settling in a way that Pachacuti doesn't like, because he already doesn't like us. So, and that's probably probably a terrible way for a hypothetical world leader to look at international relationships. Yeah, they don't like us, so we'll just do whatever because they don't like us anyway. But you know, luckily we're not in charge of any actual real people, so we can be little psychopathic dictators of our little civilization world without causing any actual real world harm. So, we're not sure about this settle, though. We haven't found great land. I think we're going to take a settle in roughly this area. This captures a bunch of decent resources. It keeps some contiguity in our empire. And really, we just haven't found incredible settlement locations yet. So, honestly, more likely what happens is that I just put this settler on the coast in that general direction and hope that my scout finds something better. But initially, we're going to kind of target this little chunk of land near Shengal. And, oh, Pachacuti is befriending them. That's not good. We don't have the influence to stop that, so we might actually need to beeline towards taking them out. So that's, actually our galley is on the way, so we are just going to take them out as we drive by with our galley. I Unfortunate that we're going to get hit by this warrior here while we're out of command range. But I think... How are we doing on this? So I think that if we get a kill here, I think that levels up the commander. So we'll go ahead and... Oh, not quite. We only get 2 XP. That's annoying. Whatever. And we're actually kind of bummed about losing out on... so we might actually save Shengle until our army commander is near, because that's a lot of experience to lose out on. And that is kind of what we're interested in here, is getting experience for army commander. Do we want to settle? We're kind of interested in settling down here. Let's see, we can pick up Caitlin, we can pick up elephants, which are not great this era, but they are really good in exploration. We kind of protect Anora Dapara by settling here, / are protected by Anora Dapara, and eventually Nagtipinon if we manage to snag that Suze. So either way, I think we're definitely still moving down the coast. So we'll start heading in that direction with that as like a tentative settlement location. But as always, as we surge our scouts across the map, that I guess this could be a pretty good settle too. Actually, let's see how that's doing. That would needlessly anger Rome, but it's not really needless. This is a great settle. It's got a great Punic port. It's got excellent resources. It's got... Well, sorry Rome, but if you don't settle that fast enough, I think we're going to. I think that's the rule. Okay, this scout is... Oh wait, no, that's not Rome. That's Greece we're forward settling. So... Another, it's Catherine Greece, too. And actually, what does she dislike? Her leader, she dislikes civilization. Oh, that's actually going to work out kind of in our favor, because the build we're playing right now in terms of science, we are kind of the big dumb. We're not doing any of our own science homework. We're just making friends with all the nerd city-states and copying their homework. So, as a result of that, Catherine should kind of like us, based on her leader agenda. So, we'll definitely hurt that a little bit as we forward settle her. But, you know, what are we going to do here? Let's grab our free technology. Don't give us pottery. Dang. Oh well. What are we going to do here now? Let's go for... irrigation, I think, is what we want to move towards, just because we want to get to wheels. The Numidian cavalry are still insane, and we're still really interested in getting Numidian cavalry. So our tech priorities are kind of the same. Our tech priorities are grab Numidian cavalry and then move towards currency and navigation to do Carthage economic stuff. Alright, I think I've probably... rambled on and showed enough turns here. I might actually end up trimming that, because I think I rambled more than I actually shared relevant strategic information. But anyway, we're going to cut the recording here for now, and I will catch you guys next time in another 10 or 15 turns or so. Alright everybody, we're coming back in at the top of turn 47, which is a pretty significant turn, because of, well, it might be obvious from the screen here, we just unlocked traders. And that is going to be a huge part of our economy this game, and we're really, really interested in traders for a couple of reasons. One, we didn't manage to get the crazy settling that we got on our Isabella game, and the other piece is that we're also not going to be able to do much raiding. Catherine is in general happy with us, and we're not super interested. We might take a settle here and upset Catherine, but she's not really a raiding target, and we don't want to spend time aggressing on her because we don't get galleys as cheap as Isabella does. So, Frederick did denounce me, but he's so far away, I don't know that it matters. He was also getting, oh dang, it looks like one of our city-states got destroyed. Oh well, goodbye Minoans. We did manage to find a culture city-state as well, but unfortunately we found this as like the last city-state on the map that we were able to get, so we're probably not going to actually be able to take advantage of the free civics from city-states, but we have enough city-states now that we should be able to still get something good from it, so I don't remember exactly what it was. And at this point we've either befriended, are befriending, or we've cleared every city-state on the map, which is pretty nice because it means now our influence can pretty much exclusively go towards improving trade relationships, which is pretty good, and handling diplomatic situations. And we mentioned that we're worried because we've got Warlike Ashoka and Warlike Pachacuti both inland on our borders and disliking us, all of which are things we don't like. But because so our scouts are incredible because of A, Merchant's Saddle makes them faster, B, Ibn Battuta gives them an extra vision range, and C, we're actually even running Survey right now because I think that scouts are just that good. And because our scout's insane, we were able to figure out, if we do an Explore action real quick, oh wow, it looks like Pachacuti and Angry Ashoka are at war. And further, it looks like Pachacuti is really, really winning. That is... oh boy, that is some archers. So we probably want to really focus on trading with Pachacuti as soon as possible and get on his good side. So we're just gonna send our first trader down here to Missouri, and then you notice we've stockpiled a little bit of gold here too. We're purchasing merchants here, and these we really care about these both as a source of income. Obviously, they're really good as income, but they're also effectively diplomats, right? If we're able to, if we trade with Missouri, then we trade with Cahokia, and then we trade with him maybe a third time when he captures one of Ashoka's cities, which I'm expecting he'll capture some of Ashoka's cities, but we should be able to recover our relationship with Pachacuti pretty well if we focus traders on him for a little bit. Plus, he has access to pretty decent resources. We like dates where we are right now. Silk isn't bad; it's not great. You also notice that like our culture and science are still pretty low, but they've kind of recovered to pretty modest levels just because, you know, we've got 1, 2, 3 active city-states that we're suzerain of right now, and then we've got another 3 on the way. So and that's kind of that's the power of Ibn Battuta, is that you're able to just so quickly get down the diplomatic oh wait, my culture's just good. I need 1 more point. I thought I had this talent already, and that's why my culture was good, so it'll get better once we get another diplomatic attribute point. I was wrong about that. Now that we've gotten access to our traders, we're just gonna go with our Carthage civics, and we're gonna collect pretty much everything in here. We've passed the immediate worry about war, and our settlements are actually... So this settlement of Sabratin right here, it looks isolated, but it's actually completely flanked. It's got Anora Deporit protecting it from the north, and then Nagtapunan, which is 6 turns away from being a military city-state that is our suzerain, so we're not really worried about defending that city. And then kind of same over on this side. This is a very defensible location with Mesa Verde acting as kind of a blocker here, and hopefully if we get Pachacuti on our side, then Pachacuti will also act as a blocker. The only thing we're not sure about is Shamron here. We're really hoping that we can capture them as a steady state before someone comes over and destroys them, but I did notice that they were burning down Katana for a little bit, and we're hoping that Frederick doesn't decide to go for revenge and take them out now, so we'll see, either way. As far as what we're building in Carthage, so we would build merchants here, but we actually kind of have a surplus of gold right now, so we're probably just going to gold purchase another set of merchants. Let's see, how much are they? Yeah, they're 330 gold, which is fairly expensive, but the trade routes are really, really good, especially with so going through here, I might actually get Wisdom of Tanit first before I get ship sheds here, just because, so I think the Khotan is the better of the 2 buildings between the Khotan and the dockyard, so I usually go for ship sheds first, but since we're really leaning into the trade angle, not the dockyard necessarily, but the fact that Wisdom of Tanit gives us 15 sea trade route range and plus 3 gold in the capital for every trade route from the capital, we could potentially get a lot of gold a lot earlier from Wisdom of Tanit, so... That's, plus we don't, since we're going to be spending our gold on merchants early anyway, we're not really going to have the money to start our Khotans immediately anyway, so. You notice we've also got some settlers here, which we don't really have plans for yet. We're kind of just going to throw them on the coast, and I guess we probably are going to take this settle, because Catherine hasn't gone for it yet. And then... we might skip this settle for now until we've got Pachacuti firmly on our side and go for this settle, but we're interested in settling along this coast, so. And that would be way over the settler limit, but kind of the idea is that there's a pretty reasonable chance we're actually going to be able to get all the way to Sicilian Wars and get the +2 settlement limit from that before the settlers actually make it to their destination, and That's all that's mitigating that at this point. That's still a pretty strong mitigating factor. So, we would make more boats, but we're not. I think we're actually gonna get we're gonna pick up Bursa here because we are pretty interested in making our trade routes unplunderable, which might actually be irrelevant. I don't know if the AI is actually smart enough to plunder trade routes. These locations are also all pretty bad for adjacency. I guess we'll go with this one, just because that gives us like 3 tiles worth of adjacency that we could possibly use there. I don't know. Not the greatest Bursa, but it's probably worthwhile given that it protects all these traders we're investing in, and it we produce it faster than anybody else could possibly produce it while getting some benefit from it, so we're pretty happy with it. This galley is really low because there was a leftover galley from the Elan city-state that we cleared, and we can still use it to just finish killing this this warrior here. We're also happy with having it in forward position since we're settling. Once again, we're, as is common with Carthage, we're sending settlers down the coast to settle very far forward. These guys are 5 turns away from the suzerain ship finishing, and it looks like they're very unlikely to die, so that's pretty good. Where is that warrior? I think we're actually going to, we're just going to send the warrior home, since we've got the galley defending. And we can actually do that safely because of the reinforce feature, which... God, it's such a good quality of life improvement. Okay, so we already gathered the information, but this scout that that Ashoka and Pachacuti are warring, so we'll just bring him closer to home. Let's see. Missouri is no good. I think we're gonna go to Mesa Verde just because Mesa Verde is close. So we're gonna get this trade route starting up really quickly. It's gonna increase the number of trades routes we have for the Caravaneer Legacy Point option in the Exploration Age, and it's also gonna give us gold now as soon as we finish Wisdom of Tanit. So we're pretty happy with sending extra trade, especially because we can't reach Cahokia right now. So hopefully. We don't have another economic city-state to be giving us trade route range, but I don't know. We'll be able to trade with them eventually. We are still going to... we don't have enough influence. Hopefully we can send a couple of those diplomatic actions before his opinion of us decays too much to be able to interact with him anymore. And we could go trade with Ujjaini, but they don't have any interesting resources right now. I think we're just going to pre-position this merchant in Cahokia, even though we can't quite take advantage of that yet. So, yeah, this is hopefully going to be a much more peaceful game, at least on my end. And we're probably, rather than directly dominating with military force, we'll probably use our galleys and our, maybe we might get 1 or 2 Numidian cavalry to protect ourselves. And hopefully we can use all this extra influence we're going to start having once these city-states start rolling over to kind of play Ashoka and Pachacuti against each other and protect ourselves by, diplomacy rather than war, which is a little bit odd for Carthage. Since, militaristic is half of what Carthage is, and also, the Numidian cavalry is just the strongest unit in the game by just such a wide margin. It's ridiculous. But we still get a lot of benefit out of the blisteringly fast expansion that we're able to do with Carthage, even though we're not taking as much advantage of the military. So, and we're stockpiling gold again a little bit just because we're so we don't have access to build the Khotan yet, and that's kind of what we want to start doing with our gold. And either way, we want to wait until Galos. So realistically, we're probably stockpiling gold for the next 12 to 15 turns, which does mean that there's a reasonable chance we should spend it. So we might actually buy some brickyards. But ideally, we would like to have 1,000 to 1,200 gold available when we unlock Khotans, so that we can start getting the Khotans running as quickly as possible. But that's kind of what we're going for. We're you just saw us move 3 merchants out, and we might be buying another set of merchants, but we need to start increasing our trade route range first. Yeah, so that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to use our diplomacy to get more trade routes and hopefully prevent Pachacuti and Ashoka from smearing us across the desert, and continue settling the coast. So we'll hopefully be back with you, I don't know, around maybe turn 60, 65, somewhere in that range. So see you guys soon. Alright, so we are back here at the top of turn 57. So we're I think either exactly or roughly 10 turns from the last time we checked in. One thing, our gold scaling is starting to get pretty strong just from trading. Pachacuti and Ashoka just made peace, and fortunately for me, Pachacuti won that war and was able to take over Ujini, which to me is another city that I can trade with that is close to Carthage, which will, get me... Iron is not too interesting a resource. This city might pick up, it might pick up the gypsum, it might pick up the kaolin to make this a more interesting trade partner, but even without that, we're still getting some extra gold because of Carthage's passives that give you extra gold for trade routes from the capital. We're still making roads, and we're still improving relationship with Pachacuti, so for all those reasons, we're pretty happy with the outcome of this. It is going to kind of turn on us if we can't salvage the relationship with Pachacuti, and he dislikes us a reasonable amount, but he's actually, let's go ahead and while we're thinking about it, we don't have the trader for that yet, but we'll definitely be using it, and I think we get a little bit of reputation bonus. I'm not sure. We'll have to check him next turn to see if we get reputation bonus. What else are we doing that's interesting? So we just got Shamron, and this is the culture city-state, and unfortunately we found this last. If we found it early, we would have gone with Shrines to the Jinn to grab, to kind of solve our culture problem. But instead especially because this is the only culture city-state, we're just going to grab Megalith with the idea that this is something we can build in towns, and we're going to have a lot of those, so that's really good. Additionally, there's our free tech from Suzing Shamron. Additionally, so if we're looking at the Shamron settlement real quick, we see horses, which would give us the option to choose Mongolia, or get closer, especially since we're grabbing these horses, so we could probably pretty easily find a third horse tile if we wanted to force Mongolia. Though as I say that, I'm looking around, and I guess we could take Capua late game and grab their horses or something like that, or we could take Ostia and probably grab their horses, are all reasonable options, or even just settle. So like, we like Shamron, and since we're suzerain and we have a lot of leftover influence, we could actually incorporate this if we wanted to, but its yields kind of suck right now, and we're not really interested in having it count against our settlement cap, so we're actually just going to use this promote growth action, and we're going to let that run its course 1, 2, maybe even 3 times, and then we're going to go ahead and incorporate them into our empire once they're a decent bit bigger, and once our empire has grown a little bit more, our military has grown a little bit more, and we have more ability to support them. Right now we're relatively safe. We're trying to float enough gold that we can purchase a Numidian cavalry or 2. We're just sticking to 1 right now. But we're getting close to the point that we've already researched Wisdom of Tanit. We're gonna finish ship sheds here pretty soon, so we're getting close to the point that we're gonna start. So we're gonna build our Punic ports a little bit different than we did on Isabella. So on Isabella, we were just prioritizing the Khotan for the raw gold that we get from the Khotan. But since we're actually doing the trade focus strategy that that I've been playtesting until I got that insane Isabella run, we're actually doing the trade strategy. We're going to focus more on actually completing Punic ports for both the resource capacity to take advantage of the resources we get from extra trade routes, and for the increased range on the trade routes, because we really benefit from just continually making traders in Carthage and trading everywhere. So we're actually going to focus on completing Punic ports instead of just building Khotans, and that's gonna start getting pretty heavy on our gold. We are probably going to wait until, not just that we have ship sheds, but we're actually going to wait until we have the Wisdom of Tanit Mastery to grab the Gallos, and we're going to kind of stockpile gold until then, both, like I mentioned, because we want to have enough to buy a couple Numidian cavalry if we need it, and to save gold for when it'll be more effective with the Gallos policy. So we lose a little bit of efficiency on that gold by stockpiling it instead of turning it into infrastructure in the interim, but I think it's worth it because we're going to get a lot more use out of it in like 8 turns. And it also keeps us slightly safe for a period where the war between the two people we're worried about just ended, and we're still in negative relationship territory, unfriendly with the winner of that war. So we like to have a little bit more assurance in those in these uncertain times, as it were. The other thing, and now that we've talked about how we're a little bit worried and we could use some friends, we're going to go ahead and make some enemies. So first of all, I'm going to point out we're at 5 of 4 settlements, so we're already 1 settlement over the settlement limit, and we're going to go ahead and grab this this excellent double cotton dyes tile. And luckily, it's far enough from Cahokia that it shouldn't upset Pachacuti, and he's the only one I really care about upsetting. It is a forward settle on Catherine, but Catherine already likes me, and I also, if she goes to war with me, I'm just going to pillage her, so I almost don't mind if she goes to war with me. So we're going to take this settlement and get that Pax Imperatoria point. But then we're also going to go over here to this other settler that's, what do we want to do here? We're going to... Oh, so you know what, we're actually going to, we're going to be displaying 2 turns here instead of just the 1, because I want to show how little it actually matters that we, blow past the settlement limit here. So, what do we want here? Ooh, +1 movement on scouts. Warriors kind of suck, and we want to be building Numidian cavalry, so I think I'm just going to go with the +1 movement on scouts. We are past the point in the game where the scouts are super relevant, so we're like next time we get a mastery, we're probably going to take out survey, because we've seen the entire map already. We know where everything is, and they're still decent to like right now we know we're safe from Pachacuti because his army isn't near like the main body of our empire, right? And we know there's some army here near Hadramedum and Sabraten, so we've got a galley over here. We've got some gold to possibly buy those Numidian cavalry that we might need here. We're still getting some value out of them, but it's more for their sight than their movement, so we're probably taking that out now. But we're still happy to have scouts, and since we are pretty careful with our scouts throughout most of our playthrough, we actually still have most of them. So our scouts are doing pretty well. That is... Oh, I can't believe that's connected to my trade route. That's amazing. I guess, yeah, it connects to Pataliputra, which connects to Ujjaini, which connects to me, so trade routes are cool. Then we're gonna set this galley up to jump into this city. So let's roll the turnover. Oh, cool, we just finished Bursa. Yay, Bursa. Let's settle this. So this settled location real quick. It's on freshwater, so that's great. That's 5 extra happiness, and we could use some happiness as we're jumping to 7 out of 4 settlements. What do we captured as far as resources? So we're missing out on a free population from settling adjacent to a resource, but we're going to end up capturing 2 fish. We get this tile that's an excellent coastal adjacency that we'll be able to connect to real easily with a fishing key. We've got a great Punic port on this spot, and then we eventually get to these sheep. Sheep are pretty good, but we're far enough away from them that's kind of like it makes the city the settle a little bit better, but not that much better. What else do we got? We've got the iron, we've got the jade, and we might get this iron. So, plus this is an excellent port city for taking advantage of the distant lands come exploration. So for all those reasons, we love this settlement. So now we're at 7 out of 4 settlements. So that means that all of our cities are going to be getting hit, or all of our settlements are going to be getting hit with a minus 15 happiness penalty, which is going to be pretty much irrelevant. So we're going to go ahead and look at the city screen here, and we're unhappy. We can't, here, let's see if we can grow into a resource. We can if we buy a building. but maybe there's it's rough because if I want to buy a building here and I'm brick over this mine, then I'll go for this navigable river tile. So we can't get the dates anyway because that's where our city hall is. So we'll just grab the good mine there. Utica, tell me that we can get. Oh yeah, so no wait, this is our Punic port location. Kind of trapped myself into this low happiness situation. Whatever, we might not be able to fix it immediately, but I'll still be able to, I think, demonstrate what the point that I'm trying to prove, and getting flustered as it doesn't work out exactly right now. Okay, so look at the resource screen again, and we're not using it necessarily to look at the resource. We're more just using this as a kind of like a city summary screen, since we see all the yields. So Carthage were pretty unhappy that we're taking the happiness penalty here. This is actually pretty relevant because it's I want to say it's 10% penalty on being unhappy. So we are actually missing out on notably on every yield, and we wanna move resources around to get more happiness in Carthage and get rid of that as fast as possible. But for all of the little towns that we have, on the other hand, they're not really generating much science and culture. Most of them are generating 0, so we're not taking any science and culture penalties in most towns for having negative happiness. And even the towns that are generating a nominal amount of science, like we're losing 0.2 culture and 0.2 science in Sabratton. Let's get the yields back on so we can see where those are coming from. So yeah, we're losing a tiny fraction of the little bit of culture we're getting from elephants, and a tiny little bit of fraction of the and the jade, I guess, and a tiny fraction of the science we're getting from these 3 tiles. Oh darn. We're also losing some gold, which is kind of a bummer, but it's balanced out by the fact that we do just have extra settlements that are also generating more gold. So which town is that? That's Sabratton that we're looking at. So even though we're I would guess conservatively that we're probably looking at a town that was making 17 gold before I flooded it with unhappiness. So we're losing out on something like 2 gold, and the production doesn't matter because that's already converted into gold in this screen, so we're not going to think about it. And we're losing food, but food is bad. Look at pretty much any content creator who does mathematical analysis. I've been a fan of a guy called General Scheming lately, who does a lot of spreadsheet analysis, some real crunchy math on Civ, and I have some takes that differ from his on what kind of mathematical analysis is relevant. I don't think that he places nearly enough of a premium on getting high yields early to maximize like the integrated value over the course of the run of your like buildings or your tiles or your yields or whatever the case are. But I think his analysis in general is very good. Specifically, I really like his food analysis, which basically tells you that food is terrible, but it's really good when you have low population and low food. So by receiving a food penalty right now, we are getting less food, so it'll slow down our growth a little bit. But to kind of counterbalance that means that we spend more of the game in the regime where that food actually has value. So by the end of the age, it kind of is a wash. It doesn't matter very much that we've received food penalties. So the overall takeaway is that we're losing negligible culture and science. We're losing a little bit of gold, but that's made up for the fact that we've just got extra towns, and we're losing a little bit of food, but that's made up for by the fact that food is bad, and also we have, again, 2 extra towns that are also growing. So we're getting more growth, we're getting more gold, we're losing the tiniest amount of science and culture, and that's it. There are no other negative effects of unhappiness, except for the fact that it sucks that Carthage is unhappy because we're feeling that production loss. So as soon as we get to move resources around and we can put some dyes into Carthage and we can fix its happiness, that'll go away, and we'll go right back to not caring at all that we're taking a negative 15 happiness penalty from being 3 over the settlement cap. But yeah, that's why we ignore the settlement cap, and I think that's also why I've seen a lot of people who are very they're convinced that just, you know, getting cities as quickly as possible and ending with as many cities as possible is the only way to play the game. And I think this is kind of the one of the cool things that towns do, is that they basically allow you to completely ignore the settlement limit as long as your, you know, the couple of cities you do focus on can eat the happiness penalty. So that's a long-winded reason of why we're ignoring this the settlement cap, and we are still going to work towards fixing it, for instance, right? But like once we finish ship sheds, we are more interested in getting Gallos. We care more about that policy than we do about rushing Sicilian wars for the settlement limit. So, and honestly, there's a very real chance that I'm going to decide we're building the next set of 2 settlers and colonists in Carthage just to expand to wherever we decide to settle next. So that's a little bit of explanation I wanted to do there as to why this playstyle is good. So as far as what we're actually doing next, we are going to send settlers. We still have this settle that we skipped because it's pretty safe. There's a mountain range blocking it off from anything but the sea, and then there's us blocking it off from the sea. So we're probably going to take that settle, and then on the other side, I think we're probably done settling this side. We could get a real cheeky settle on this little 1 tile outside of Athens, which isn't the absolute worst. It does have 2 tiles that are buildable, so we can make a little bit of infrastructure, capture 2 resources, and be in a good position on the sea in front of Athens, but it feels needlessly antagonistic, so we're probably not going to do that. Settling in the rear area of Rome is actually a lot more interesting, just because there's a settlement right here that gets a pretty decent Punic port. We've got 2 resource adjacency for the dockyard, and then 3 coast adjacency for the Coton, and we're able to reach 3 jade and a dyes from this tile. So this might actually be a pretty interesting. It's very unlikely that we're able to snag that settle before Frederick grabs it himself, but it is a pretty interesting settle that at very least makes it worthwhile. So you know what? I've talked myself into... The only reason it's hard to decide to pick colonists here is because I could get more merchants. It's so addictive to double build units in this game. It really warps your brain and makes it so that you want to do nothing but build the units that you get doubles of, which honestly might actually be good. You know, I'm having a lot of success with it. I don't think that I'm playing as optimally as I could. You know, I'm kind of playing vibes based in a lot of situations. Let's go ahead and take the science now that we've got all the city-states. We do eventually care about building up enough influence to grab Shamron, so we want to be a little bit careful about our influence, but for the most part we should be able to start accepting endeavors for relationship and to prop up our flagging science and culture. Because the other part of the city-states being done is that now we're no longer getting free techs for getting new city-states. So luckily we did get most of the civics that Carthage really cares about. We got to Code of Laws, and we're pretty close to getting to Sicilian Wars. And once you've got, I think, Shipshab's Wisdom of Tanit, Sicilian Wars, and like one of the masteries plus merchants, it sucks if your culture's still low, but this is all you really need to make Carthage pop off, is that core of, you know, like 8 or 9 civics. And then the science, we also are in a similar situation with science. We got the wheel already, so we've got the most overpowered unit in the game. In the Numidian cavalry is accessible to us, and we still care about getting currency and navigation, but again, it's not the most important thing in the world. So we are gonna noticeably slow down on our science and civics, though. But again, we should be able to make up for that by just having you know, you can see our gold is already at plus 99, which I'd have to go back and compare it to my Isabella game. I think it's about on par with what I was making in my Isabella game, except I was pillaging in that game. But I think you know, this is the trade is slightly slower than the pillage opening for Carthage, but I think the trade opening is a little bit more consistent. So that's why I usually, you know, I'm happy that I didn't really high roll this seed so that I could show off the trade opening that's a little bit more consistent. Let's see, do we want to specialize Leptus? We could, because the marble is just rarely relevant. and we're not in range of the dates. But I do kind of want to get the marble just so that when I eventually switch over to a trade outpost, I get the happiness from having the 4th resource in the town. So we'll leave it growing for now. And also the growing town buff, the 50% increased growth, is like the only growth buff that matters. So we're happy to leave it on. I think we're going to stop recording for now. We might turn it right back on if we're not able to prevent Patch Cutie from going to war with us. So, you might see us at like turn 62 or something like that. But if barring a major war that we have to change up our strategy to deal with, I'll probably be coming back at like turn 70 or something like that. So, I will see y'all then. Alright, so here we are again. At the top of turn 70, which honestly I probably could have waited a couple more turns before I turn the recording back on, but since we're here we'll talk about where we are. So we're continuing to kind of creep our settlers along the coast. We've already decided that this left-hand coast is pretty much settled out, short of we could possibly drop a settler onto Catherine there, but it's, I think, incredibly unlikely that we'll get there before she settles it. We talked about doing the same to Frederick, but he did actually settle Mediolanum right here, so we're not going to be able to take advantage of it. What a crazy Jade city, though. If he actually expands this city all the way out to its borders, I guess this Jade is actually going to be captured by Roma, so I guess Mediolanum is only going to capture 3, but Frederick is certainly going to have his Jade available to him. Either way, he took the settlement there, so we could still, once again, we could go for the really cheeky one-tile island settle if we wanted. This would allow us to really contain him in the exploration age if we wanted to, by having a kind of a naval base in this location, and it also gives us a jumping off point to some distant lands that look pretty close. So we might actually, we've got 2 settlers here. One of them is going to take this very protected camel settle that we're super near to, and ooh, Pachacuti just settled Chickasaw really near to me, but it looks like our diplomacy and the power of the almighty dollar bill is bringing him over to the side of being friends with us. Though we're currently getting 50 leader agenda points from him, and we're gonna throw away probably most of those by getting this this settle that has ostensibly up to 8 or 9 mountains in it. So we're immediately gonna get on his bad list. We've still got a ton of influence that we're kind of pushing it with eventually being able to convert Shamron, but we still are able to get 6 culture is really relevant to us. So plus it makes Catherine happy with us once again, and we can't quite trade with her yet, but we do. We were able to use that burst of gold that we saved up to grab a Punic port in Thanay and a Punic port in we got one more, Hadrometum. So we've got some pretty good Punic ports, so our trade range is a little bit longer. We're making some merchants here in Carthage first, but I think we're actually going to make 1 set, because after that, oh, we don't actually have. We need to start working towards the coast so that we can build our Punic port. So our next little bit of gold might actually go towards buying buildings out towards the coast, just because we're at the point where we would really like to have the Punic port in Carthage. So luckily neither of these tiles are. I guess this is a pretty good science tile. So what we might do is we might put the saw pit here. We'll put the library will go there, and we'll leave that in the build queue. We don't want to pay for that immediately, and then we'll be able to get to this tile to build a pretty decent Punic port. It'll be a 3 adjacency Khoton, so it'll be like 5 or 6 production, which is pretty decent. And depending on how well we get here, we might be able to wonder in this tile to make this a little bit better too, because that'll affect the library and I don't know, probably the blacksmith eventually here. So we'll see. Either way, we're pretty happy with the way Carthage is coming around. The galley here was able to protect Utica from the handful of bandits that were there, and now that the hostile warriors are gone, we're kind of just protected by our ally Shamron here and our reluctant ally so far, but still neutral with us at least. Pachacudi, who we're trying to trade with until he likes us. So, we're not like we haven't taken off into the stratosphere yet, like we did with the incredibly high rolled Isabella run. But I'd say we're still doing. We're still fairly strong here. We're still very competitive. I'm trying to decide if I want to settle this tile to immediately grab. Actually, if I settle this tile, that collects all of those resources and puts me next to a dormant volcano. So that's kind of tough, because if this volcano, if it goes active at any point, we would actually be really happy to have this as a rural tile instead of a city center. But if we settle here, let's see, this is a pretty great Punic port. This is arguably a better Punic port because the adjacency on the dockyard is food. So we like having high adjacency on the dockyard, but it doesn't matter that much. And this is technically 4 adjacency for the Khoton instead of just 3. I guess our other option would probably be settling here or here, which misses the pearls but gets everything else. So that's pearls. I think pearls are pretty low tier because we like happiness resources, but we can only put pearls in Carthage because that's our only city as Carthage. So I don't know. I'm reasoning back and forth. I'm a resource goblin. I want the pearls, even though they're low tier. That's still one more resource that'll make this a better trade outpost. That's still one more resource that'll sit in our bench and generate 1 gold and 1 happiness, which is cool. And it's still all the other bonuses that Carthage gets for being an economy machine. So that's about where we are now. I'd say we're about to go 4 over the settlement cap, but we're actually going to get an increase of 2 to our settlement limit right before we settle this city. So we're going to end up at 8 out of 6, which is actually better than we are now. I guess until we're still not quite sure what this settler is doing. We'll have to see what turns out. But anyway, that's where we are here at turn 71. Kind of short update because our strategy is still roughly the same. We're trying to balance trade route range with merchants and influence to improve trade relations, with the idea of just making as many trade routes as we possibly can. So until next time. Alright, so here we are at the start of turn 80, and we're going to do a quick assessment of where we are in the game. So we're making 234 gold a turn, which is, in my opinion, the point at which Carthage really is. This is the point of no return at which you start really getting explosive. The reason that this number is significant to us is that means we're basically able to build a Punic port almost every 2 turns. Or we can build more merchants if we want. Like, we're just able to build more infrastructure, which makes our trade better, which gives us more gold, which gives us the ability to build more infrastructure. So our economy is completely taking off. So now we're finally going to look at the victory conditions now that we've got our baseline of what we want set up. So culture, we're going to be lucky, I think, if we get 4 wonders and we get up to 2 culture points. So hopefully we can get at least 1 culture point, and ideally we would like to push for 2, but we're not 100% sure if that can happen. Military, we're likely going to finish out. So we've got 8 settlements just from settling. And actually we want to do that soon. So we're going to go ahead and start that now. We're going to bring Shamron into our empire. And we've got, so we actually decided we don't really benefit from making this town immediately because its yields are going to suck and it's basically just going to make us unhappy. But what we can do is we can just, put this colonist to sleep here, and we can settle this, like on the last turn of the age or something like that. And that will accomplish, giving us a great jumping off point to settle the distant lands over here. And then the other thing, so if we look at our resources, Carthage is relatively large right now in terms of how many resources we have slotted, which means that our Numidian cavalry, as a consequence, are going to hit for like 50. So we're at the point where we can conquest anyone anywhere if we put our mind to it. And we are pretty interested in conquesting 1 town. just so that we can get to, in my opinion, going into Exploration Age with 11 towns feels like the sweet spot, because it lets you have no penalty, because you can pretty reasonably reach 11 settlement limit at the start of Exploration Age with this kind of playstyle. So having 11 towns going into exploration means you're taking no happiness penalties for the critical early turns of exploration when you're trying to get your settling and your exploration parties out onto the distant lands. So as a consequence, we have Shamron's going to bring us up to 9. This settler that we're waiting to settle on the last turn is going to bring us up to 10. So we'd like to grab one more city, or one more town rather. And in the so we have a couple of options here. We could try to build up influence again, and also grab. Actually, we don't like Warrior Song because we actually care about the fact that it's stolen from an enemy city for the military legacy path. So realistically, we're probably going to end up trying to take Capua or Mediolanum with our Numidian cavalry, and that seems kind of insane given how far away they are. But if I back a commander up with 4 Numidian cavalry, and walk him up to the area, we're going to just completely so I guess actually, speaking of that, if we walk our commander up, we should probably not have our commander camping on the capital if we eventually have war goals. And we could make another army commander. In fact, it might be beneficial to, but we're starting to have other stuff that we want to do in Carthage with our production. So starting at making merchants, I think. We're even going to just gold build the Punic port in Carthage, because that gives us more production to build merchants, and we're really just interested in getting as many merchants out as possible. And that's going to be real exciting for the next era when so one of the legacy points you can take for the economic legacy path is Caravanasseries, or however that's pronounced. That gives you 5 gold per trade route, and that's kind of so like we do get benefits in the current age, and our economy machine grows bigger and bigger the more trade routes we have. But where we're really going to feel it is if we can get an absurd number of trade routes, and we can make Caravanasseries worth a disgusting amount of gold in the exploration age. That's kind of our goal at this point. We do have our economic. We just showed off our resources. We have 20 resources in Carthage, so we've almost gotten the legacy complete in economic with Carthage alone. Not to mention that we have other resources splattered around small towns. The science and culture are going to be pretty significantly harder. You'll, if you notice, I've actually resorted to putting 2 palace specialists into Carthage, which isn't the greatest, but at this point, that's worth 6 science and 6 culture to me, and that's actually just super relevant because of how little science and culture we have. So realistically, we're probably shooting for 2 each on the legacy points for science and culture. Oh, we have some unslotted codices. We should get to that. Alright, well that immediately makes it look a little bit better. That also brings up the value. I kind of skipped the Mastery on Sicilian Wars, but I do have a codex. I'd immediately get 2 science from this. So I think we're actually going to... what are we going to do? We're going to finish getting up to the Colosseum first, but I think after we've gotten to the Colosseum, we're going to switch back to this Mastery in the hopes that we can get a couple of Science Legacy. So really, we're kind of trying to do damage control at this point. We will try to get to max out the Legacy path points in Science and Culture, but realistically, we're shooting for our stretch goal is getting 2 points in each of those Legacy paths. So that's kind of the idea. And this is I think this is I'm pretty happy with this run so far, because as I've been playtesting, and I've been playing a lot of Carthage, I am super happy with this playstyle and the way this civilization plays. So I've been doing so much Carthage. We've been super happy with this civilization. But this is the way this game is going, in my opinion, is about the average Carthage game that you can expect with this type of strategy, which is it's clearly not as disgusting as the Isabella game that I played previously, where we managed to capture 4 natural wonders with Isabella Carthage, and we just dominated the entire game in, every arena. But even outside of having an amazing start like that, where we have kind of like a middling start like this, and I guess I should probably have this spiel at the end, but we're still going to be able to max out the military and economic paths, which is pretty good. We're going to be able to get some of the paths in science and culture. We're probably going to get 2 points each, is what the goal is, which isn't the greatest. But on the flip side, we're going to have a ton of towns that are going to be real easy to turn into cities that come pre-packaged with huge production buildings in the Punic ports, have extra resource capacity from the Punic ports, and also, and I think this is something people don't pay enough attention to. So when you transition age, right? Like all of your let's see, let's get into the city screen here. So we look at the library right now, right? The library is giving us 9 science, which also, we love 9 science. That's a big number. We like big numbers on science. But as soon as we transition to the next age, this is going to drop to something like 3 science with a 3 gold, 3 happiness maintenance cost. So by not building cities in antiquity and actually just letting our towns grow, what happens is that we'll go to the next age, and we're going to have a bunch of towns that have slightly higher rural population than they would if they were cities during the Antiquity Age, but we're also going to have buildings with no maintenance cost. So we're going to have effectively a bunch of extra gold from all of our cities because they don't have old buildings that are arguably costing more than they're worth in gold and happiness maintenance. So, and we'll have to spend more time showing that off at the very end. Back to what's actually going on in the gameplay. Catherine looks like she's allyable, and she's pretty much enemies with everybody that we're enemies with. So we see that she's neutral with Pachacuti, and we're a little bit worried about that because we don't want to fight with Pachacuti. We kind of don't care about Ashoka being mad at us just because he's been so incredibly neutered by and it looks like Pachacuti's actually taking him out. Are they at war right now? They're not at war. They're hostile. He must have just ended at that war because Ashoka is really getting crushed in the interior here. What are we doing? Oh yeah, we're sending this commander to. We'll just send him to Utica. He'll get there eventually. We don't need to move him every turn, as we're considering eventually building up a little force of cavalry and taking over Mediolanum. It might be worth sending some navy there and buttering him up first. We do have this little naval base that we can ostensibly we can get to the point where we have enough gold to just really quickly build this into a naval base and use that as a forward base for an invasion. If we can just buy a Numidian cavalry there every turn, that would probably work to take it over. So we're not quite at the point where we have the income to do that and really take advantage of it. And so for now, we're just going to leave the settler asleep there. Let's see. We wanted to grab. No, we wanted to get the Colosseum first. Even if we can't build the Colosseum, the settlement limit is going to be. It's going to be decent. It's not going to be the greatest, since, as we mentioned, we don't really care that much that we're low on happiness. But it will bring more of our little towns up into the no penalty zone, which always happy to be in the no penalty zone. We've got 2 more merchants. Okay, we'll send those merchants out, and then I think we're going to end for now, and we'll come back at like, I don't know, turn 100 or somewhere thereabouts. And here we're less looking at the resources that we're getting, and we're more just saying, hey, we get benefits from sending trade routes no matter what, and we're more interested in using them as diplomacy tools. So like we're gonna, even though arguably Katana is the best trade here for having silver and sheep in it, I think we're gonna go to Athenii, which has arguably with cotton and jade, that's also a very good set of resources, but we're choosing the slightly worse set of resources between the two in order to have a more diplomatically beneficial trade route going on. Oh, this city's ready to specialize, it looks like. We'll go ahead and just keep on getting production tiles. Or city, this town. Yeah, but we... Oh, wait, no, we should have built towards the marble. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, I'll probably try to bring it back in, 17-ish turns, so see y'all soon. Alright, so we're back here a little bit later than we planned on coming back, but we're at the start of turn 103 here, so the crisis did start. We got the World War B crisis, so this one is, mechanically, I think it's the most interesting. You can get a lot of commander experience out of it, which is pretty cool. And actually, it gave us an excuse to start building up this Numidian cavalry. So you see we've got 2 Numidian cavalry here on Shamron, and we've also got another 2 Numidian cavalry in this commander that's moving its way. But if we look at Carthage, Carthage is just catastrophically huge at this point. And as a consequence, if I look at my Numidian cavalry and I mouse over a spearman, we see that we're attacking at 61 combat strength. So that's pretty high. Even if we were to theoretically want to go after... Oh, I guess we can't see the... I guess because we're not hostile, we can't see what the combat would look like. But either way, they're not beating 61. So we're gonna try to take out this independent city-state, or independent people, ideally, when we can get our commander over there to get the experience to do so. But, let's see, let's go for organized military, get the settlement cap. So as far as our legacy points go, we're still done with economics, so that's nice. We've got our plan laid out to finish military, which, once again, is basically just to settle this as basically a fort town. We're probably not going to actually make it a fort town, but that's essentially what it is. It's a military base. And capture Mediolanum, ideally, and that will finish out the military legacy path. The culture legacy path, we were pretty resigned to not getting many points, but we actually managed to pick up, Petra, which is kind of surprising. We got Bursa, which isn't surprising because we built that pretty early. And then we grabbed Oracle, which a lot of times feels like kind of a free wonder to build just because the AI never go for it. We're also going to try to grab the Colosseum here, because the Colosseum is just one of the best wonders. There's almost no reason you shouldn't be rushing or going for the Colosseum in every game, in my opinion, especially because the AI doesn't really bother for it. So that actually brings us up to the 4 wonders of the ancient world that we think we're likely to get, and we can try to still run for 7 as a stretch goal, but I think that getting all 7 wonders in Carthage it's just hard to the point that I usually don't try it. Science is a little bit more interesting. This was one where it feels like we're kind of close, but there's a possibility that we could min-max our way all the way up to 10 points. So right now, we've only got 4, which is a little bit low, but we so let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we can still collect in the tech tree. So technically, if we're able to finish all of these techs and masteries before the end of the age, we can finish it up. And we're actually, we got a recent pretty decent burst in our science, which is coming in part from specialists in the capital. We have a couple of palace specialists, which are making the palace adjacency bonus jump really high, and then we've got we've got 1 specialist on this library tile, so it's doing all okay. We've also, as you see, we're making 300 gold a turn, and we've pretty much capped out our spending on our towns, so we've got just a lot of extra step pyramids that are sprinkled across our land. We got some megaliths here too. There are occasional hill forts, so we just spent our gold improving our land. So how do we want to do this for optimal efficiency? So if we think that we can only get 2 extra relics, then we probably go for the currency and the navigation mastery immediately. But we can be greedy and go for mathematics first to get the academy online earlier, and that will end up giving us more science throughout the game. So I think I'm likely going to go for mathematics because I can just pivot if I need to. But that's where we are. So we're still I guess now we've got enough extra gold that we should just be buying merchant, even though merchants are really expensive. Like that 600 gold looks like a lot, but since we're not really able to spend much gold in our towns anymore, it's the gold is going to pile up really quickly. So because we really have capped out most of our towns as far as filling them up with buildings. So That's pretty exciting. That's going to be wildcard attribute point for Eva Batuta. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and lock in that mathematics. There's always the chance we get Pyramid of the Sun, too, which I think is super unlikely. The AI seems pretty happy about going for Pyramid of the Sun, but you never know, and it doesn't hurt to try. So, each progress 75% category for Hurricane and milestone for the Great Library. So that's about where we are. I think we don't have much that's going on here other than our kind of like slow roll attack, surprise attack on Mediolanum that we've got planning. So I'm probably going to cut the recording here until we get to the point that we're launching our surprise attack on Mediolanum, unless something unexpected happens, like somebody else wars us or we have to change strategy. So I will once again catch y'all soon. Alright, so it is turn 114, and we're still doing pretty much the same thing. We're trying to race through the science tree right here at the end of the era. We did catch Pachacuti trying to forward settle us here, so we've trapped him within a scout cavalry containment field here. And our invasion force for taking over Mediolanum is also in place. And this mass of barbarian units right there seems like it gives me pretty good cover to start that invasion and take over Mediolanum if I want to right now. The only thing that gives me pause on doing it is that Frederick is allied with Ashoka. So if we do go to war here, we have to have a plan for these this handful of elephants that are just randomly in our territory for some reason. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna build up a little bit more of a military to handle this. So we're probably gonna wait a turn or two on going to war, but we will be we're almost definitely declaring war on Frederick next turn so that we can take over Mediolanum and progress our victory conditions. So we'll just chill for now, and hopefully he doesn't he being Ashoka doesn't use his elephants to take out our scouts. That would be the worst case scenario here. Let's see. Move our blocker around a little bit. He can't settle on this jade tile, and it looks like he doesn't want this little river to settle on, so that's good for us. Let's see, what are we doing? Let's go ahead and get our war kicked off so that we can take over Mediolanum. Then to war, whatever. And Ashoka's probably going to pile in next turn. And we've also got Pachacuti here is friendly with Frederick, so there's a chance that eventually Pachacuti joins the war on the side of Frederick. Hopefully we can avoid that happening, but we're not too worried about it. Just with the absolute dominant power of Numidian cavalry, so it doesn't matter too much what enemy warmongers want to do. Let's see. Should be able to just get that cavalry in place to protect my scout line, and then my commander is close enough to get experience if they attack that cavalry, so that's all we're trying to do. And then we'll just rest everything else there. This, I don't know if this is considered an exploit or not, by the way, the fact that I'm using scouts to block a forward settle that I was able to see coming, because the AI could just settle in place, but it doesn't seem to know how to do that. I am going to take advantage of it now because it is still in the game, and you know, I don't want to be forward settled. But I am, I think I'm kind of treating this game like a victory lap over the AI, and I'm thinking that for future playthroughs, after I beat I do want to do the Abbasid in this playthrough, but I think after this playthrough I'm going to go ahead and try to pick up the Roman Holiday AI mod to make the AI a little bit more competitive with what we're doing, and that should hopefully result in some more interesting games. Let's just go ahead and get all the cavalry out. Oh, we messed up. We should have dropped more cavalry. Oh well. One-shot that Legion. Just a wild amount of damage that these Numidian cavalry units do. Alright, so hopefully we're done with this part of the war in 1 or 2 turns. I kind of don't want to spend too long recording here, just because we've gotten to the point where the AI turns take a reasonable amount of time, and I don't want to be putting in like a lot of load screen time into the video. So those are my thoughts. I might show until we take Mediolanum. That seems like it could be a pretty decent time to call it. Ooh, we're actually happy with the. It looks like he does not want war, so that's good. We probably should have supported that actually. That was a mistake too, because if we supported it, then if Pachacuti does end up allying with Frederick and declaring war on us, then we would get like a 5 war support boost. But doesn't matter that much. We're not hurting by missing out on it. Let's go and let's see, what do we still have to do? Cav. And yeah, you would think that the elephants would be decent against the horse-based cavalry, but well, you'd be wrong, unfortunately. The Numidian cavalry are just... I will be amazed if Carthage doesn't get nerfed the next time that that there's a balance pass done on this game. I'm also amazed every time I see a content creator who rates Carthage anything below like S+ better than every other civilization tier. That's my read on the power level of Carthage. I think that it's Carthage tier, and then S+ tier where like Maya and Mississippians live, and then everything else. But Carthage is just... It's so strong that the AI breaks, basically, is my experience. Go ahead and buy that academy. And let's see how our science is doing. We're starting into mathematics too. And citizenship is 4 turns away, which means that literacy is probably roughly 15 turns away from now. So making the age extend to turn 133 is pretty reasonable. We might actually be able to get all 3 of these science legacy points. Shamrod undefended. Fixed. And I think this is going to be the turn we get to capture the city, so I'll probably... Alright, let's do that attack. Then let's move here. Let's move here. Let's move the army commander here. And we will... should be able to capture Mediolanum this turn. Yeah, Mediolanum is ours. Nice. Level up our commander. And then, so I don't think maneuver or leadership, I think that both of these trees are pretty bad after the first point. Like, mobility is excellent. I get that on a lot of commanders because this is super relevant. And zeal is something I've been kind of playing around with. I'm not sure how much I like it yet, but sometimes it is kind of relevant. You know, you just have a commander sleeping all day and it's nice to have zeal on them. Either way, at this point, there's part of me that wants to go down either Bastion or Assault, one of the, I think, clearly the best combat trees, but there's also a part of me that's interested in just pushing Leadership to get all the way down, or Leadership or Maneuver to get all the way down to, the merit badges. So, I think we're gonna try Maneuver. I haven't really gone far into Maneuver before, so I don't know, how well it actually works, but we'll just go ahead and try that with this army commander in this playthrough. And that is us capturing Mediolanum, so I think unless anything else changes, we're just going to continue rushing for the codices. We're now just in defense mode, and I'll turn the recording back on again when we're ready to end the age. So I will catch y'all soon. Hey everybody, we are back at the start of turn 132. And this is going to be the actual last turn in the game. We just finished the Master Engineering, which is going to give us our 10th Codex that we can slot into one of these city halls in our trade outpost towns. Then we're also going to use this colonist to make our last settlement, completing the Pax Imperatoria tree. And that's going to bring our age progress to 100% with 11 of the legacy points acquired, which we're relatively happy with. We didn't actually manage to get any future techs or civics this game, which is going to slow us down just a little bit at the beginning of the in the beginning of the exploration era. But we're pretty still happy with our finish. We managed to get, like I said, the 11 legacy points that we're pretty happy with. And if you look at this continent, we actually control pretty much the entire coast of it. Catherine has a little bit of access to the coast over here, and Pachacuti has some access in Appalachia, but we're pretty excited about our transition into the exploration age at this point. So we're gonna try to spend a little bit of gold and build up these last build up our towns just a little bit more, as much as we can. Oh, we're actually gonna be able to get the Punic port in this. I was worried that this district would stay in unrest and we wouldn't be able to get to the Punic port, but we were able to get it. So we're not really worried about building the best version of the Punic port ever either. We just kind of want to make sure we get it in the town, because we lose access to it once we leave the era. So let's do a final check, and we see all of our Punic ports all the way along the coast. Oh, do you not have one, Shamron? That might need to be something we fix. It says it. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's just covered by a trader right now. Okay, we are good. And then yeah, that's going to be 11 Punic ports. So we're gonna possibly spend a little bit. Oh, we've got quite a few. We can get a bunch of science from plotting. So I think where I think early culture is better for the Antiquity era, I'm much less convinced of that with the Exploration era. So I think we're going to go with 50-50 between megaliths and step pyramids in this town here. Either way, that's a decent amount of culture and science that we're pretty happy to have picked up. So, Antiquity Age is ending, grow town, and then we can see if we can get one more good step pyramid or megalith. So we'll probably go for this tile here, because that looks like a tile we can probably build an improvement on. And yep, we can get either or, so we'll go ahead and go with a megalith there. Why not? This town will be producing a decent amount of culture and science right off the bat just because of those unique improvements. We're pretty happy with that. Let's see. Keep on growing this little fort town that we just settled. What an annoying settle for Rome. Not that he has much play in this game anymore anyway, but I would be annoyed if I were him. Let's see, we should grab the fishing key here too, while we're paying less for buildings still. And I think that's good to be the end of the era. We're going to do one more pass through all of our settlements to make sure that there's nothing that we need to buy. And I'm skipping over some hill forts and megaliths, but that's just because I've seen those sitters already, and I know that while I am technically missing, or I could technically build a megalith or a hill fort, it's only showing me that because I can build it over, you know, like I can build over a step pyramid here. Cool, but I don't want to do that. I already chose step pyramid for that position, so that's why we're skipping some of these megaliths and hill forts, even though they are technically available to us. Alright, and I think that's gonna... I guess we could get walls. We'll probably get walls in some of our cities too, or towns too, actually. Which we are at the point. The game lets you keep about 3,000 gold when you transition in age. So technically, we're losing this gold, but we're not going to be able to get walls for a while into the exploration era, just because of the way we're going to be teching. And our cities are a little bit exposed with 3 of the people on our continent hating us, so I think it's going to behoove us to spend a little bit of money now on defense instead of getting wrecked at the beginning of the next era because we thought we didn't need to. Get those walls. Unlock. I guess it also unlocks Norman, which is... We're not going to be going for Norman, but it is good to know that if you have extra money at the end of the game, you can just spam walls and unlock the Normans, I think. So, alright, that's good enough. And we're just going to shift enter because I do not want to command all of my military units. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the ancient era's Carthage. So we've got our 11 settlements complete with 11 Punic ports. Pretty happy about that. We got 11 victory points, so not quite the 12 victory point finish that you can do with some of the other really strong civs, but I'm going to spend more time explaining this in the next video, I think, but I think that a fully built Carthage town is a better city through the exploration era than like a fully built up Mississippian city, for instance. And the spoiler reason for that is because cities have a lot of deadweight on age transition, right? You have a lot of buildings that give you 3 of some yield, but then cost 3 gold and 3 happiness every turn as maintenance. So I honestly think that that cities with a bunch of old buildings are generally worse than cities with no buildings. And there are some exceptions to that, obviously, like the buildings that have 2 influence on them, like the monument and the villa, are both really good. And then buildings that have either gold buildings or happiness buildings only pay 1 of the maintenance costs, so they tend to be a little bit better as well. But other than that, your buildings that go obsolete are pretty bad. So I honestly think that having a ton of towns with a Punic port is better than having a ton of cities with a bunch of deadweight buildings. So, all right, that's all for Carthage for now until we go into the Abbasid dynasty next time. So, as always, if you guys have any questions about the build that I did, or you have anything else that you saw in the video, let me know. Or if there's anything you want to see in future videos, I'm also interested to hear about that. Other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thank y'all so much for watching all the way through, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.